Cool. Because now it's your time to fucking shine, my guy. Because you said just earlier, you talked about that you're a contrarian and a centrist, or maybe not. You said a little, half-half. But I want you to come up with a counter to my claim here,
Okay.
just to make sure we go through all the bases here.
What if I
If
agree
I
with it though, just to be a contrarian?
Then you are contrarian because you want to be a contrarian, and then you go to hell for lying.
Okay.
But if you say I'm just trolling at the end, then it's fine. God will forgive you because he trolls people a lot, so it's fine if we do it too.
Yes.
Anyway, so here's the thing: like a lot of people, people say like sexual market, dating market, and stuff, is there anything wrong with calling it a market? Is it like how to say? Would it be like putting people down to commodities or something like this, that you are sort of seeing people as things rather than people?
I'd have to actually be very nitpicky to think that there is something wrong with it. I do understand why someone might think that, but it's like, well, what do you want to call it, right? It's like a fucking, I mean, you're trying to meet the match, and you're gonna meet a lot of people who you don't match with. And I'm not speaking specifically about dating apps here. I'm saying match as a general term for, you know, liking someone essentially. And what you like about people, like some criteria is sort of objective, right? It's like
Mm.
uh, they're not overweight, they're not too old, they're not too young, of course. Um, they have a similar lifestyle to yours, and they are generally looking for the same thing you are. And so, specifically about the objective stuff that's sort of in control, like being overweight, uh, of course, there is a marketability to how you appear. Uh, so the analogy is definitely like it fits, but I do guess that some people would find it offensive or whatever. But I mean, that's not. I don't think there's actually a good argument against it.
But let's say someone would make an argument that people, because that's the thing, right? That's what I want to counter to, just to make sure that we cover the bases, right? Because I do agree with you, like I mean, everyone has marketable abilities, and it might not even be dating, right? It might be like, what job are you more suited for, right? For example, I could never be an Air Force pilot because I'm too tall. Like, I won't ever be one.
Wait, what?
But
Really? What's the fucking
no,
height
no,
limit for a Air Force pilot?
you have to be it's at least shorter than me.
Really? Because
Manlets do really well in
I
the Air
thought
Force.
I thought there was like a you couldn't be too short either. Like there was a cutoff for
I mean,
not.
of course, you can't like be like a fucking midget and be in the fucking Air Force. Of course, that's not.
That's not what I meant, but okay. I'm actually okay. Whatever. This is completely besides the point. Just continue.
The thing is that so I agree. Like, it's what else should we call it then? So like, but then I guess like because I would say that maybe it should, if we just say market and then value and then don't go further than that, it should be fine. But but if you start going further than that, then maybe going that's where I could see a counter, right? If people get too bogged down in terms that are more, with economics and stuff like that, right? Then I could see more the point that, okay, this is actually pretty insulting.
But it's like
But other than that, I
that
guess.
it's not meant that way though. It's like it's about. I mean, you did say it. It's economics, right? But it's economics in the sense of
Mm,
there's a scarcity, right? It's like a logistic problem. There's a similar number of men and women, but the 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 percentage of people who each man and woman is attracted to is actually not the same. So there isn't a perfect match that there is
mm,
like one girl for every one guy. Usually, and this is obvious. I feel like we've talked about this before, but women tend to date like 20% of men only, and obviously men uh, will date essentially 100% of women, and there's an obvious disparity there, which means that those 20% of men get a lot of matches, whilst 80% of men get almost none. And that's why there is a like an economics to it. It's that since there is a scarcity of women in the market, so to speak, uh, then there's a certain like monopoly, let's say, by a certain percent of men. uh, a lot of dynamics emerge from that disparity, and you can use like statistics that were developed initially to try to understand market dynamics, to try to understand dating dynamics, and they tend to work. And so this is how the analogy came like to exist.
Yes,
It's not
agreed.
a it's not a oh, everyone is a product. You are only so good as the size of your breasts or something. That's clearly not what's being conveyed here. And I mean, maybe someone could try to use it offensively, but it's like, what are you going to say exactly? Uh, your sexual market value is low. It's like,
That's what the red pillars say all the time. But they, I mean, some we
but
talked
like,
about this
isn't
like
it
2 times
worse
ago.
to just say, "Oh, you're ugly"? Like, isn't that just straight up worse?
Yeah, but then they would argue that that's also bad. So
I
I
mean,
do. At the end of the day, I agree with you. Like
like
that,
it's similar
you
to
can
like
make a
instead
CMS, but
of
it's really bad.
instead of calling someone dumb, you say, "Oh, you're low IQ." It's like, okay, that's I mean, you're basically like making the insult a little more quote unquote scientific. But
I
like
mean,
the
maybe it's like
valence,
instead of calling someone lower Q, we should just start saying you used to ship Aaron and Historia together. You're
this
now
is
Hisu.
a
I
completely
think that's a better.
stop trying to fucking ruin my point by bringing up stupid shit like that, okay? Okay, when we're saying you're low IQ, we're basically saying you're dumb, but we're using scientific valence to it so that we look smarter by saying it, and you also still get insulted. And so I feel like sexual market value, like saying your sexual market value is low, is exactly the same thing. And it's like, well, you're not inventing anything new. You're just calling someone ugly in a different way. And I don't think that that's. I mean, like you can also do the opposite, right? You can say, well, you have a high sexual market value, and someone is very might be like, well, thanks. That's nice, because it's a compliment now. Um, so there is no reason to say that inherently it's like a negative thing.
So I just wanted to do one comment before I get into the meat and potatoes of it,
Okay.
because you said that the 80%, what was it, that 80% of women will only go for 20% of guys. This is if we're talking about online dating specifically. If it's
It's worse actually
like,
online. It's worse online. This is actually a study doing on college campuses.
but that's okay. So this is what I will say. I haven't looked at the study, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's, so I can't comment on it at all. What I will say in response to that, though, if it's 80-20, and let me just assume that, okay, you're right. You're completely right in what you said. Here's the thing, though. When I went to university, like, there were, like, men doing the same shit, you know?
I mean, obviously,
Because, like,
like
yes, like most of my friends did that. Like, for example, I remember there was this girl, right, that I was dating, and I was like shocked that she had like not sort of how do I say this, like that she didn't have a ton of suitors. I was
mhm.
so shocked. I was like, "You're super cool. Why are you single?" And that was just because one little detail. She dressed like a tomboy, sort of. No, not even a tomboy. That's wrong. But she dressed not like, with leggings, t-shirts and stuff, which is fine, by the way. I don't care if you care. Like, I'm not saying that says anything about your character. I'm just saying that the way she dressed wasn't like form-fitting clothes. Let's say that, right?
Mm.
So it was more. So you didn't, and it was more like standard fucking, like standard colored clothes and stuff. So she kind of, I guess, dressed like in whatever, right? She's like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna wear this,
Are
what
you
the fuck
sure
ever.
that she didn't? I mean, how do I put it? Are you sure that it isn't the case that she just like wasn't interested in any of the guys that showed interest in her? Because that's also a possibility,
Again,
right?
I mean, it could. We took so many classes together, and I would have noticed it because there was another girl that I did notice had a lot of male suitors. Like I saw them, like so, but this girl had none, and she wasn't ugly at all. Like she was an 8 or a 9 easily.
Mm.
And so what I'm saying here is my counter to that 80-20 is that when people are that age, they're fucking retards.
I mean, possibly,
But
yes.
but I would still say that would be a problem, yes, because at university it is the best place to meet like a partner for life, or like one
Yes.
of the best places. So it is. I would say that that's not good if what you're saying is real, but I haven't looked at the study. But now, unless you had another comment on that, let's go into the meat and potatoes of it because I want
Um,
to see how the argument holds up.
no, we can go on.
So, this passport bros that I linked to you,
Yeah,
I
I put an image of
so
it, by
it's
the way. I should send it to you so you know.
no,
I put it on the stream. It's an
yeah. Give
article.
me one second. Is my face in it? No, wouldn't surprise me. Would not surprise me.
I mean, maybe. I don't know your face, so maybe it is you.
To be fair, like yeah, when I have like like here's the thing. He doesn't look completely like me, but if someone had said this is your long lost cousin, I would be like, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Huh.
So he does look a little like me, yeah. Yeah, no, okay, now you know how I sort of look like. I sort of look a little like him. Yeah, that's cool.
You're you must be
Except
very generic then.
that I don't look generic. That's the thing.
Huh.
I stand out to the crowd because I
Hmm.
have anyway. Let's not get into that.
Because you're very
Here's the thing.
tall.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in Sweden. I'm not, as I told you, because we talked about this like some time ago. That the Gen Z are so fucking tall in my country that I'm not tall anymore. Like in
Yes.
comparison to them.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, the only thing that makes me stand out is that I like. It's hard anyway. You maybe lose track. Here's the thing about passport bros. Passport bros are people. It's like something that they get described in two different ways, and it's like what I don't know why they're bungled together, but because I think it's just because people haven't touched enough grass. Uh,
It's also
one
probably
type
a
of passport.
very new phenomena, so people get confused. It's like, how people call incels like anyone is now an incel. Like it has nothing to do with being part of this weird fucking anti-women coalition. Now it's just uh oh, you were rejected by a girl. I guess you're an incel now. Sort of deal.
My dad was called an incel online.
What did he say? Did he say that, men and women should have like monogamous relationships or something? Because that's an
It
insult
was
thing
like
to say.
I guess like Christ is king. That's the worst one. No, I was kidding. My dad is an atheist, so he would never say that.
No,
But I don't know. It was something really
he would
tame.
say
It was like
Richard
really.
Dawkins is king.
I mean, I don't know actually. He said he liked. I showed him a clip and he liked it. He said, "Yeah, he's pretty cool." But I also like Richard Dawkins, so it's like it says nothing. Now,
Hmm.
tangents aside, passport bros. There are two types of them, and they get bungled together. One type is essentially like some dude that's like want what is it like a submissive woman, a submissive woman. So they go to poorer countries
Who doesn't?
using their money to trick them. And then they just, I don't, but okay. They take this, they use their money to lure them in, and then they kind of are stuck with them in another country, or they're stuck with them in that country. Then you have the second type that gets bundled with the first one,
Mm-hmm.
and that is just a guy who sort of goes to another country and then sees like another, and then falls in love with a woman from another country, which is fine. Then it doesn't matter really if it's like Thailand or, which is actually a bad example because Thailand is actually getting more and more developed right now. So, or Colombia or whatever, right?
Mm.
Why I'm saying that they get bundled together is when people talk about passport bros, they make these sweeping generalizations about why would you want to go to another country to find a wife, and like, so by
I
de
mean,
facto they bundle everyone in to the two same,
I can
and it's
see
like,
how it would happen though, because I'm pretty sure that whoever is called like a passport pro, because maybe they went to the Philippines and they married an Asian girl and they then went back to the US or something, and now everyone is like, "Oh, you're a passport bro," and then the guy is like, "No, no, 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 I'm not, because I actually went there, and then I fell in love, and this is just a coincidence." And so people will like bundle it up together because like the first group will say that they're the second group.
mm, yeah, and that's also, but I think you agree with this, which is the next point, right? Is that it's kind of pointless accusing someone of being a passport bro, because I mean, just to give you an example, like,
It's the
let's
morality
say,
police, right? It's like, God, I fucking hate the Western world because this is so stupid. This sort of, oh, you're like 3 years older than your girlfriend. You're basically fucking abusing her now. Uh, you,
exactly, right?
you're
Like the
obviously
only,
too mature for her. You're the age disparity. Oh my God. And I
dude,
mean,
you should
there's a
date,
billion
dude,
examples.
I should just I should just date an 18-year-old Thai girl just to piss everyone off. I'm almost doing it out of spite, but yeah, just date someone out of spite. That's a great way of starting a
Yes,
relationship, right?
yes. Don't even like her. Just do it to spite people.
Yeah. No, but because here's the thing, right, with the whole thing is that, because imagine this, right? You have two different type of people, like or two different type of guys rather. Let's say you have one guy like fucking Frederick, and Frederick, let's say he is online, and let's say he is actually in like a Thai Discord because it's like a Thai movie he really likes, and there are some really good Thai movies. Like, I know that sounds like a meme maybe to some people, but there are some really good Thai movies. And then in this Discord, he meets a girl, they start talking, and then they sort of fall in love, and they kind of either he goes to her or she goes to him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say there's this other guy, like fucking Jack, right? And this
Mm-hmm.
guy is goes that, let's say he's a businessman, right? He goes
Mm-hmm.
down to Thailand and he does business there. But little do we know that the only reason he does it is to, what the hell is that? Wait, give me a second. It's my alarm. Let me just turn it off.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Anyway, let's say he goes down to Thailand to conduct. He says he's doing it just to conduct business, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in secret, he's just there to find a wife, and then he kind of squares like everything, and then he finds like quote unquote a victim, quote unquote. It's quoted here,
Mm.
and then he brings her back. Then the first guy, Frederick,
Like
will
the
look
fact
more
that
like a
you're
passport bro,
you're even
and
calling
then
her
the
a
second guy,
victim, quotes or not, it's like, what the fuck are you saying? There's,
I'm doing it
it's
for
like
simplicity's
it
sake.
it doesn't matter. There is zero. Like, how could you even fucking portray it as a victim? Like, how? Literally.
But first, no, no, no. That's the second point. We need to go back to the first point because otherwise we are not gonna solve the first point. My
Okay.
first point being that in these two cases, then it looks like the first guy, Frederick, who met her in a Discord server, is more of a passport bro, even though it's the second guy, Jack, who is the passport bro. So my point here being that the label it's pointless because you don't know who's a passport bro or not.
You know who wins
So I
with
don't even
this?
the fucking girls.
No, the white supremacists, because they get to say,
Okay.
I
Yes.
married a
True.
white girl. It's not because I'm racist, it's because I'm not going to abuse people from minorities, you know? Um, so yeah, it's always great when the white supremacists win. But can we
Yeah.
go
The whites.
go over the reason why obviously there is nothing like the girl is not a victim at all. Like
I
it's
mean,
like
if I
it,
added
it's
more context,
it's
it
like
would she
when
would be.
it's like when an 80-year-old marries a 20-year-old and the 80-year
Mm.
old is really fucking rich. And it's like, oh, the 20-year-old is not really a victim here, okay? Like, she is in it for something as well. They're both
Mm.
looking for something, and it's a fucking deal they
Mm.
made. And it's really not any of anyone else's business what two consenting adults choose to do. It's like, obviously not. And like this whole uh mathematics of the balance of power in relationships or whatever, it's like if you're saying that you know better than the couple involved, like how arrogant do you have to be to think that you actually know better? Like, are you sure that whoever is coming to the US to marry this random stranger, or I mean, I'm not saying like I shouldn't even say stranger because the actual non-mail order bride guy is not actually marrying a stranger. They're actually getting to know each other, and then she accepts moving with them. So
Mm.
it's like, how are you going to say that someone who is not in that relationship knows better what is good for the woman and knows it better than the woman herself? It's like, it's a ridiculous argument. You can't say that. So,
Yeah,
like,
but
I'm
that's
not.
that's not the argument I was making though. Though
I mean, you
that's not what I
mentioned.
was calling her
No,
victim.
no, no. That's why I
So
said I was going to go over why she's not a victim. That's why she's not a victim. Um,
I mean,
but
yes, but I
I
did it
do.
for simplicity's sake.
Yes, yes. But still, I thought that it was important to not let that go by. Um, so when it comes, so what's the name of the second guy? The first is Frederick, right?
Jack is the passport bro, but
Okay,
no one will know it's the passport bro.
okay. So you were basically saying that Frederick is getting the short straw because Jack is bringing a bad reputation for people who marry someone from another country, right?
Sure, I mean that's part of it, but not the main part. The main part is that Jack looks more like a passport bro. No, sorry, Frederick looks more like a passport bro rather than Jack. Because Frederick was the one who met a woman, let's say, I don't know, as normally as you can these days, I guess. It would have like been no difference if he lived like, for example, let's say he lived like this is a guy from your town, right, or wherever you live,
Mm-hmm.
and he met this. It would be no difference if he met her like in fucking. She was from Rio de Janeiro, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if she was from the Philippines, it's the same person. It's just a different nationality, right?
Okay.
Whereas Jack goes out of his way to meet a girl he can be abusive with his money towards to get so it isn't becomes an abusive relationship like
I
you
don't.
ever do you know
There's nothing
here's the thing
abusive, dude. Like there is no
but I haven't,
abuse.
I haven't given you more context. Would you like more context? How
Are you
such a
saying that
sort of
Jack is going to fucking beat his wife just to make a point now? Like to paint it as the evil guy because he went
yes,
out of his
yes,
way
that's
to find
exactly what I said. Yes,
a woman from
yes,
another country? It's like,
that's exactly what I'm saying. I'm
no,
saying that. I'm
you're
saying that he
basically
gets his
you're saying that
detail now.
you said that you're gonna add something to what you said about Jack that is going to change the story.
Yes.
So I just gave an example of something like that. But what were you going to
Yeah,
say?
sure. That's reasonable.
Okay.
Sure. Here's the thing. Something that is to be kept in mind is always that it is always going to be. How do I say this? Because here's the thing. I know if I say something, you're just gonna jump in, and then we're gonna get sidetracked, but which is like fine in a way. But just let me run down this example so we don't, so we keep on point.
Okay.
So when it comes to power dynamics in a relationship, they will almost always fucking exist. The thing is that a power dynamic is like nothing bad inherently. It's just there.
Yes.
It would be like example, like let's say, okay, as you know, I'm starting to quit smoking, like, right?
I actually
But I
didn't
mean,
know
for
that, but
example,
good for you, actually.
yeah,
Good.
thanks. But anyway, the thing about that, right, is that so if I start dating, a girl now, that would be a bad quality of me. It's there, but it's not like I'm not smoking on her or something. Maybe this is a very bad example, but let's take another example. Let's say I start dating a really short girl, right? So I'm bigger than her. So
Okay.
there is a power dynamic there already, but it's not bad because I'm not an abusive fucking asshole, right? So I'm not gonna just beat her up or something, you know?
Yes.
And that's sort of what I mean. So now if we go back to Jack's example, inherently, if Jack just has more money than his new Thai girlfriend, sure, there's nothing bad about that. But he can't use his money in an abusive manner towards her to keep her controlled. That's
Uh,
the added context, and that it would be abusive.
I don't agree actually. And there's many reasons why I disagree, but
You can't use money in an abusive way, or keep money as an abusive tool.
we're first talking about a relationship, right? So we can assume marriage essentially, unless you're saying that
Mm.
she moved in with him and they didn't marry, which would be pretty fucking hard. If
Sure.
we're,
I
I'm
mean,
not
sure.
like, what country is Jack in?
Let's say he's fucking Norwegian.
That's like, okay, what are fucking Norwegian divorce laws?
You can get divorced at any time, essentially.
Yeah, but what happens to the money? Is my point.
Oh,
Because you
it
can
is.
say that
That's a good.
he's going to use his money abusively if she actually has the right to half his money if they end the
But
relationship.
hang on now. I don't think you believe that actually. Let me give you another example. Let's
Okay.
say let's forget the money. Let's say Jack beats up his girlfriend instead. Then
I
I can
told
just
you.
say,
I told you.
why,
I told you that
but
Jack is an
here's
abusive bastard from the beginning. You didn't believe me.
no, exactly. That's my problem, right? I don't believe women. I don't believe them at all. Seriously. Oh man, that's so bad. That was even too dark for me, man. Here's the thing. I mean, in this case, if he was abusive towards her using his fists, then we could just say, oh, why isn't she just going to the police and getting him arrested? You
Mhm.
know, abusive means that takes, it's more manipulative. It takes some more time and stuff. So
Yeah.
there are absolutely ways you can abuse someone using money as a tool.
Yes. I mean, okay.
That's sort of what I
Sorry.
mean. So
Wait. What? No.
that's
No.
what I
No. No. No.
mean
No.
in
No.
the
No.
example.
Sorry. What? Because you said the fists, right? So that's how he's abusing
Yes,
her. Where does the money
that's
come in?
one way. But you can also use money to abuse someone.
Yeah. Like how exactly? An example.
So okay, let's see now.
Like you're
Okay, let's
saying,
say
I will
there,
not buy
there
you diamonds this week if you don't have sex with me.
I mean, for example, let's say this, right? This is just another example, right? I mean, the reason why it's because I thought I'm gonna sound like such an asshole now, and I'm sorry, but the thing is like that I thought that you knew about economic abusive behavior in relationships. But sure, let me give you an example of it. Let's say that this girl, Sun, or whatever, right? So Sun is the wife, okay, and
Sun.
Jack is the guy.
Okay.
Sun,
Yes,
and
sun.
the thing,
SUN, right?
yeah,
Or something else.
yes,
Okay.
yes, okay. And let's say Sun back home, like her brother is really ill, and the only way she can get money for his treatment is by keep being married to Jack. And Jack is just, let's say, it's not, as I said, let's say he's not violent. he's just a bad, but let's say he cheats on her and stuff, you know,
Yes.
and just is a bad, like maybe he's mean, maybe he's just he plays League of Legends all the time, which is like, no, and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
And then when she brings this up, like every time she says, oh, maybe you should change your behavior, maybe you shouldn't cheat, maybe you should stop playing League of Legends, he says, oh, maybe then I will stop paying for your brother's treatment. And he's like the only one who has the money to do it. Or like not the only one, but like he's one of the few people that could do it in her sphere, let's say that. Or like maybe the only one in her sphere. That's an example about, maybe not the best example, but it is an example how money can be used in an abusive manner in a relationship.
Okay. I mean, I can accept that, but I don't really
Now, is it
know.
rare? Sure.
Like,
Sure, I will admit these things are rare, but they
no,
do happen.
I mean, I know, but that's not what I was going to say. What I was going to say is that
Okay.
there is like there is nothing stopping this from happening in a normal relationship, which has nothing to do with being a passport girl. Uh, you can
Yes, yes, yes,
say
yes, yes.
you can say
Exactly,
that
exactly. That's also right. Continue.
you can say that the economic difference is more common amongst people from different countries, especially if you're talking about, Jack the Norwegian and Sun the Philippines girl. But that's still like, uh, a 1 in a million thing. And I mean, maybe 1 in a fucking 10 million thing. And it's like, I don't really see, like, regardless, like, let's say uh, that didn't happen. Like, okay, she never got the chance to go to the Norways, and she never got to treat her brother. Now her brother is dead, and it's like, well, great, we solved the problem, right? Really. Um, and
I
I
mean,
know, I know, I know, I know that it's not a good situation either way. I'm just trying to say that there is actually a reason why we shouldn't be trying to say that we should have the say in who can marry who, because that's retarded.
yes. I mean, I agree. Here's the thing. I sort of agree with you, unless it was actually like. But we already agree on that point. It was if it was like actually proven to be abusive what he's doing, this guy Yak, right?
I
Then of
mean,
course it's wrong. It shouldn't happen. But what I will say, because I will just add on your example. Let's say, for example, that Sun was open about it. She said, "Listen, if I marry you, I don't love you that way. I just need money for the treatment of my brother." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Maybe he, for some reason, instead of just paying for the treatment, he marries her, which would be strange, but whatever. Maybe he just wanted a cute Filipina woman or something, which is
yes,
okay."
someone to
And
take
then they sort of
pictures with.
exactly right. But anyway, and then it should be fine. I mean, if both are open with it, like, yeah, I'm just marrying you for your money, and he's like, yeah, I'm just marrying you because you're hot or something. Because maybe I don't know, maybe he has a yellow fever. What the fuck do I know, right?
Yes.
So it could be something like this. So that's also why I don't buy. So you made that argument, another argument for me actually, because that's also why I think this passport bro discourse is so it's just brain dead. That's what it is. It's just fucking brain dead. Because how the fuck are you gonna prove? Because you see, like the example I gave you, how the hell would you prove something like that?
Okay, but
Because even if you were right, okay, this is a very important point. So please keep what you're saying in mind. But this is such
okay.
an important point because let's say that you were right. Let's say it was that situation, like the Jack situation, where he's actually being abusive and an asshole using his money, right?
Mm,
Like if even if you say that to someone, accuse them, you just sound like a coping asshole. The
yes.
only thing you're gonna get back is like, you're just jealous because he has a hot Filipino woman. What? Maybe you should go to the gym, you fat cow. That's what you would get back.
Yes. And also,
So like, if
hidden behind that fucking insult is something like, uh, well, you're not getting a real white woman. Because that's what they're
exactly right.
saying, right? Like, I'm not kidding. That's what they're saying. Like, behind the fucking insult. It's like, well, you can't get a white woman, so you're settling for less. It's essentially the fucking point they're making. because they're trying to belittle
It's not
someone for not
hard.
getting the normal woman that people are so desperate to get, essentially. And I mean, it's obviously a fucking stupid argument.
Yes.
It's like a,
Yeah.
and it's a thinly veiled insult too. Like it's transparent, really. You can tell that people are thinking that when they're saying it. So, but I
And
kind of, I mean, sorry, I'll let you respond to that first.
yeah, so just keep what you said in mind because I feel because I was about to launch this into the next point, which we both agreed, and it is connected to this one. But let me say this first that the thing you said there is so important that, so you can't get a white woman, and it's almost like an insult, and then we go back to racism.
Yes.
Great job, guys. We reinvented racism because there's so many, and this is a type of fucking lefty I hate, and it's this type of the expectation, the low expectations, something like this. It's like the bigotry of low expectation, and it's like, and because they say it's so retarded because they will say, you can't get a white American woman or like a white, let's say this was Norway actually, like, oh, you can get a white Norwegian woman, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like that because you don't touch grass. And then it's like, bitch, you haven't touched grass if you think that all these women are retarded or something, or they're like stupid or something.
Yes.
That's really insulting.
Yes.
Because, I mean, for example, like we in the Discord server that used to be, right? We don't have to get into it too much.
Mm.
There were very smart women in there that were from, I don't know if it's called second or third. I don't know
Who
if they
who
classify
the
as third.
fuck
Let's say, no,
who cares?
my point here being, yeah, the point here being that these women weren't like from Northern Europe or like America or something, but they were really smart.
Yeah.
So I mean, my point is that these people haven't touched grass. They think that all fucking Thai women are just blabbering retards in the countryside or something, because
Yes.
that's what they seem to believe.
Yes.
But anyway, you wanted to say something more before I launch us into the next point, which I think you will like. But anyway, continue.
It was just about like we should also, because we're doing the incel thing. We're calling something for its proximity, but it's actually not the real thing. The passport bro is not someone who is just dating a girl from another country because she's from another country, but at least their claim is that they want traditional women, right? Feminine women, and they can't find it elsewhere, so they go to other countries to find it. And I mean, we should at least go over the merit of that claim to see if there is actually something to it, Like, or I'm not sure how you feel about it, but are Western women significantly different from women from other countries? Um, are we in agreement that most men, and I'm not sure about you, but I mean, I feel like I'm probably amongst them, would like a relationship which is more traditional, and it's like, monogamous. It's family oriented. It's uh, a relationship where you're sort of expected to be together for a long time. For example, it's like something that you
Okay,
actually
so
get way less in the Western world nowadays, I guess.
so here's the thing. Yes, I do believe that most men want that. From what I've seen, the men I talk to, they do want that. Not all, but most men. Might be wrong. I mean, if someone brings me up a study or something and disproving me, yeah, fuck me, it got me, I guess. So yes, on that part. The second part, and this is where I think, because I've been thinking a lot about this passport. The reason why I also take issue with it is because not only Discord server I mentioned, but in real life, I know a lot of women from third world countries are really smart, really cool people, and it's
Yes.
like it makes me it pisses me off when people talk about them like that, because they're like maybe not as close as we used to be, but we were really close at sometimes, not like in love or like something like this, right? We were just friends, right? And I also had male friends, of course, also from those countries. So of course, I would take offense, and people assume they're fucking retards who can't think for themselves. That just pisses me off a lot.
Yes.
you know. But to get part, I think when I notice and I look at the common thread, and I think this is the problem, is that these women, they do exist in the West. A lot of them, like these women who they do want a traditional marriage, you know, like they want to be together forever and all of that. The biggest differentiating factor between dating in the West and the East, as far as I can see, and it's again a very boring answer to why men are going to these third world countries, is that in the West, there's an expectation of the man to approach the woman. And that's a lot of buy-in for someone to do that a lot of people don't understand. Or like, no men understand this, women not so much, and some men don't understand it. But most men will understand that it fucking sucks just going up to someone and starting talking to them like a girl or something because you don't want to be seen as a creep. Whereas in these other third world countries, and I feel I might be completely wrong, so maybe someone corrects me and I'm not gonna get fuck I was wrong. But it feels to me that in these third world countries, the women approach the men they want to talk to,
Yes,
and
and it's not
that's
even.
that might seem
I mean,
yeah,
just to give you a little supporting point, I suppose. I
mm,
remember I was looking at the digital nomad thing and
mm,
see a few countries which people travel to. I feel like I don't remember which country it was. I think it might have been Thailand or the Philippines, but I think it was
mm,
Thailand. And one of the videos was like, I mean, there was this scene where the guy just walks down the street and he's like a white guy, somewhat tall, and then there's like just a
mm.
bunch of women who uh basically talk to him as if he was fucking, I mean, as if they were fucking close, you know, even though they're strangers essentially. And they're like
Okay,
uh it's like, you know, oh, good morning, hot guy, something like that they say, you know.
okay,
Yeah, that kind of deal.
yeah, yeah,
And it, you know,
mm.
it's just random compliments from strangers is something that you would never get in the Western world as a man. Um, it's like
Yeah, that
completely
I agree.
outside the picture, especially like from such a large segment of the population. It's like you're treated as if you're special there, which is, you know, it's sort of like reverse racism or just straight racism. It's the same thing, but you know what I mean, right? It's like, oh, you're white,
Yes,
so
I
you're
know what you mean.
special, sort of deal. And obviously, it's not like, how do I say this properly? I mean, just like if you're a woman, and you're probably going to disagree with this, but if you're a woman in the Western world, um, men will approach you as long as you
Mm.
look decent. Let's say that, and
Yes.
your job is essentially just to filter through the men you don't like to get to the men that you
Mm.
do like, and then try to form a relationship with them essentially. And
Yes,
it, that's
more or less, I would agree with that. Yes.
that's a very different, like that's a very different perspective for a man, right? Men, like you said, is expected to approach, and so
Mm.
to have a different treatment when they go to another country, like the one I gave as an example, where the women, they not only approach, they are actually exceedingly receptive, and they're just like hoping that you give them the time of day essentially. Like that's such a
Mm.
difference of um like such a different situation that like there is no way that you wouldn't uh get sort of uh carried away with it, you know. It's like obviously when you come back you're gonna tell stories about how incredible the country is, and how much different it is for uh,
Mm.
someone to try to find a mate uh, there, and you know that's gonna have an effect, and people are going to uh, go there for that purpose. And
Mm.
I mean, and this is the part that I guess you're definitely, well, maybe not definitely, but you're likely going to disagree with me. It's like I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that, you know, men going to another country to try to find a wife is a bad thing. Um, but I'm not sure.
Here's the thing. I here's the thing. I think it's a bad thing, but not for the reason that you would think. The thing is, reason I think it's a bad thing is this: that if a lot of men go to third world countries to uh, get women, they're gonna pull those women out of the dating pool
Yes.
that could have stayed there to date the men in their country and build it up. Because I do think that,
Oh,
I
don't
mean, it
worry.
depends. Like,
In Thailand, all they do is make the men become women too, and then you uh go
oh
back
yeah, that's
to a
true. That's true.
balance.
Dude, dude, you just beat me. You beat me in this argument. You just owned me with facts and logic.
Yes.
Like, how could I not see the femboy Shad winning again? So maybe it's not you, it's an icon of the femboy Shad. Jordan Peterson speaks about this many a times. The
Yes.
femboy Shad, the icon of the femboy Shad, in the shape of Kane. That's okay. I love the man, but it's a And the point here being that I agree with most of the things you're saying, right?
Mhm.
But I also think, and this is because, as usual, we have to wrap up soon. So I think this is a good, not ending point, but to close this discussion off. Do we both agree that this, at the end of the day, seems like a skill issue for Western women more? Because that's what I see and feel. Skill issue.
That's the other
Can you
thing, right?
imagine?
That's the other thing,
Can
right?
you imagine being so goddamn fucking autistic that all you need to do to like meet a guy and say, "Hey, how are you doing today?" Then you beat all these other women. That's what learn how to do that. And I get it, like it's scary and you don't want some creep to follow you. But and I know it requires a lot more unpacking what I said. But even then, even with unpacking, the point still stands. It's a fucking skill issue.
I don't
Get
think.
better.
Okay,
That's the problem. That's why it's so that's what I'm saying. It's a fucking skill
jokingly,
issue. I agree.
jokingly, I'd agree, but I don't agree.
Mm,
uh, I feel like women are mostly getting what they're going for. I don't think that the
mm-hmm.
reason that women are single is because they'd rather not. I feel like women are single because they want to be single. Um, Maybe you disagree with me, but that's
Debatable, but
and the
go on
second,
anyway. I went
yeah,
on a rant, so go on.
I mean that's the interesting thing, right? Let's say that um, I'm not, who knows? Let's say that every fucking incel in the world, no, every incel in the US, which by incel here I mean everyone who isn't getting laid, instead of everyone who hates women. So everyone who isn't getting laid goes to, I'm not sure, like the Philippines, and brings a Filipino wife back home. Uh, so now there's a surplus of women, right? Because initially there was a 50
Mm,
split. Now
I was
there's
thinking about that too.
all of these
Okay.
guys are married, and so there's far more women in the US than men. Maybe like there's
Mm.
1.2 women for each one man, something like that. Um, Now, suddenly, these women are having trouble finding men. So what do? They go to the Philippines and they marry a Filipino guy. And now
Mm.
the circle is complete because the Filipinos are no longer missing women because the Western women came and fucking found them. Um,
Mm.
so great. Now everything works out. There's nothing wrong with anything, and the math works out again.
Yeah, man. No, it's just here's the thing. Like you are sort of. I know you're like maybe 20 to 25% memeing, but you are also kind of right because that is what would happen too. Because I do know of women who like they have no luck finding a guy in this country, so in Sweden, so they go all over to another country and bring home a guy.
Okay,
But
here's one thing that I just remembered, and this is something that
yes,
I hope you have some info on because it's a mystery to me and I don't really understand it. Are you aware of the fact that apparently Russian women are seen as both highly valuable but also not that difficult for foreigners to get? Like, and I'm not saying this because of recent events. I'm saying this is a long-standing uh, trope, let's say. that apparently Russian women hate their men or something like that, because apparently their men hate their women. I don't really understand it. And because Russian women are known to be pretty, they're desirable, and they also are uh, likely to get married to foreigners. So, first, I want to know whether you also have heard of this, and second, I'd like to try to put this in context with Passport Bros to see if there's like a passport sister thing going on in Russia.
Exactly, because at least before the war, right? Oh fuck, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, okay, because you know the algorithm and everything.
Yeah,
But
I
anyway,
love
before
War,
the
that
internet,
game, like Monopoly, right? It's so good.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. The monopoly thing that happened, the very
Yes.
bad. Before that, Russia was still like, sure, it wasn't like maybe as prosperous as let's say Scandinavia, but it was still pretty prosperous. Like people weren't dying in the streets. So, but to give you some, my insight here is that there are two, because I do have some family friends who are married to Russian women, but from what I saw with them, it was more like, yeah, we're vibing, yeah, we're vibing. Like they would meet them at like in Stockholm or something. So it was so to them, I cannot speak to them. It could have just been natural or something. But to answer your claim, I think it's like this, right? That Russian women are generally very straightforward with what they want. So I mean, they just win over autistic men, like that. They just, because they say exactly what they want, and they're very
Hmm.
clear with the communication. So they
Oh.
communicate. I wouldn't say in a masculine way, but they communicate very clearly what they want and why they're upset with you too.
Oh.
And but they're also very kind. Like I wouldn't say I mean, they can. I mean, I don't want to be mean here, but because the Russian women you spoke about, they are very sweet. These women, but generally, like for the Russian women I met outside of that, they are very kind, and they have like this very sensible type of humor. They do have some masculine attributes. They do, but they also are very feminine. Like they in the sense that they really dress up really nicely. They try to look their best at all times, and to some point, to such a regard that it's sometimes retarded. Like some of the ways I've heard why they would like go in high heels with their makeups just to go and throw out trash outside, and then go inside and take off the makeup. Like that's retarded. Let's be clear,
Yes.
that's fucking retarded. So that
Pretty
so
base though.
I would say, but here's the thing: there is a major difference from what I've heard about Russian men. Not all, of course, but generally from what I heard about the Russian girls I've talked to outside, is that Russian men they're not good, man. What they told me, I don't know myself because I've known Russian men who were really cool and like you seemed fine, but some of them, yeah, they treat the women really badly. Yeah, they are very like physically abusive, from what I've heard.
I
Not all,
see.
of course, but that's the general thing. And then you can imagine that a Russian woman, then you have the chance to like that a guy who won't be physically abusive towards you, and actually will be as nice and kind and will treat you like a queen. Of course you would want that. But then, of course, but then here's the next part. And this is something that we will have to talk about next time, if we talk about this next time, is that, so yes, I'm just going to ask you this question, you can answer it, and then we end.
Okay.
Because do you think then, if we both agree that there are power dynamics in a relationship, could then let's say it's one of these Russian women who looks like a supermodel. Yeah, let's say everything is just perfect on this woman, right?
Okay.
Could she leverage her being more attractive than the guy she's dating in an abusive way?
Obviously, and that actually happens all the time. I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure. Like that's not even a question, right?
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, I mean, not off the top of
You
my
made me
mind.
give you one.
I can give
Sounds good.
you
No, just kidding.
I
Continue.
can give you a
Continue.
hypothetical,
Hmm?
which should
For sure, go
be
for it.
uh, mm, I mean, you can just picture it, right? Man marries woman, and
Hmm?
they have a happy marriage at first, but she gets more and more demanding, and she starts basically not doing her part of the marriage, right? Starts with her, not doing what she usually does. Maybe they split their chores normally, but she's not doing her part. Um, and things are starting to pile up, and the guy is having to get it all done. And she was supposed to get a job, but she stopped looking for some time now. And when the guy brings it up, she basically says that she won't uh, go look for it, or she says she will, but she never does. And so you can see how the relationship is falling apart because she is essentially uh, not giving a fuck, essentially. And anytime the guy gets a bit confrontational about it, what she does is bring up the fact that she is way better looking than him and that she can do way better and that she's lucky to have
Hmm.
her and that he should just shut up and listen to her and no, the list goes on. So you can see how the fact that she is way better looking will leverage her position to a point where she can make the guy do something that is obviously quote unquote unfair towards him because he wants to keep her around. And if he realizes that she is indeed more attractive than he is, and it's not just a, you know, she's not lying essentially, she is actually more attractive, and all the more reason for why what she's doing might work.
Hmm. Yeah, that's an example. I agree. But also, it was kind of because you just had to come up with one on the spot, and I know that it's kind of hard to do. So
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that I mean, you asked me this question, but have you never thought about it? Because I'm pretty sure I've read stories about it before.
yes, I know a very, very sad example of this. It was a woman. They said because it's a stepfather who, alongside with the real mother of the child, would like be abusive towards his child. They would like hit him, force him to eat cat litter, like horrendous shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the child died eventually from all the maltreatment. And then a lot of people asked, why did this guy do it? Like, why did he agree to do all of this? Because he was like seen as a good member of the community. He would like, I think, I don't remember on his free time or if it was his job, he would like drive seniors to the beach, which he didn't have to do, stuff like this, right?
Mm.
So it was so strange. And then I think it was his sister or a family friend said the reason he did it was because she told him to, and he thought that he could never ever have another chance with such a beautiful girl as with him, with her.
Let's see. That is kind of sad.
So yeah, and here's the thing: like, the guy, he wasn't that, sure, he was fat, but he was more like Alex Jones fat, like the bulk, like that someone has been bulky and then become fat, So
Yes, like I
and it wasn't ugly, so and it wasn't like ugly or something. He was just overweight essentially. Or no,
yes.
that he was fat. Actually, he was fat. I remember that now. So it was just he could get like a hot girl that wasn't a complete psycho. He could do that, but he had so low self-confidence, right?
Mm. Let's see. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
but
sounds like it. And I mean, the stories I've heard are usually like, when people are breaking up.
maybe not that.
I mean, the example I gave is someone who doesn't break up, right? But there are examples of people who are, you know, when they get confrontational and they realize that they're being screwed, like the other person comes out and says the fact that they think that they're way more attractive and they can do better. And
Hmm.
usually that's when the relationship ends, but you can also see examples where that isn't what happens because, people are. There is actually like a. How do I put it? I mean, in the example you gave, you said that the guy was fat and the girl. I mean, you never said how beautiful the girl was, but I'm assuming that she was
Uh,
pretty good looking. Um,
that's the thing. She wasn't that good looking. She was maybe.
was the
I
tomboy
mean,
friend
she was
better
hot.
looking?
But who?
The tomboy friend, the 8 or 9 tomboy friend, who you said had no suitors.
Give me a second. Oh yeah, that one. Yeah, she was hotter. Yes,
Which, the friend or the married woman?
the tomboy friend that I had. She was way hotter.
Oh, I see. I mean, then
Yeah. So
it's not a great example, I guess. But let's say that
I mean, she was hot. I
she
mean, don't get
was
me wrong.
really
She was
hot.
hot. This woman was hot,
Because
but she wasn't
it
like super fucking hot. If that makes sense.
what I'm trying to say is that there isn't actually, like, there are some times where the person thinks that they're like they can't do better, but they actually could, and it's just that they're insecure. But there are
Hmm.
some times where it's actually the truth, like they couldn't do better,
Hmm.
essentially. Like, there is a reason why they say don't stick your dick in crazy, right? And it's because sometimes the only way that you're ever gonna get a girl who looks like that to fuck you is because they're crazy. Um,
Hmm.
and so that's probably part of the reason why this kind of thing happens. Is like it's the truth. They can't do better, unless they find another crazy chick.
Hmm. No, that's true. I agree with that. But as my friend said, uh, you only he disagreed with don't never stick your dick in crazy. His quote was, "You only stick your dick in crazy once, just once, and then never again." With that said, it was nice talking to you, man. But I need to go.
Yeah, it was very fun. Um, See you, Gecker.
Yeah, yeah. Take care, bro.
See ya.